So today is actually my endo anniversary, that I like to call it. So literally 5 years ago at this very moment, I was going in for my very first laparoscopy to officially determine whether or not I had endo and just to see what was going on inside of me. And I woke up from that surgery being told, yes, I do have endo. And it was very scary to hear, but it also kind of felt like a relief at the same time, because I've been dealing with this sickness for over 10 years, and I've been going to different specialists all over the place. I was going to specialists in New York, in Pennsylvania. I was even going to go to one in Georgia at one point. And I was just kind of in and out of doctors. And when I finally got that, confirmation that yes, you do have endometriosis, it was literally almost like a little weight was lifted off of my shoulders, because now at least I had a name to what I was feeling, and it didn't make me feel like everything was literally just in my head, like one doctor actually told me. So it kind of felt good in a way, but at the same time, it felt really scary, and it felt almost like I still didn't have any hope. And I have a feeling you guys can relate to that once you heard that you officially did have endometriosis. So for those of you that are just joining, we do have a little chat box going on. So if you just want to pop in there and say hello, say where you're from, please feel free to chime in at any point and just share. Especially if you are like, oh my God, me too. It's healing in itself, and that's part of it. So meeting other endo sisters is part of this. And after my surgery, you go home for a few days, and then you go back for your first follow-up visit. And that follow-up visit was heart-wrenching. It was probably the scariest thing that I had to sit through. More scary than going in for the surgery, I think, because I was basically given two options, okay, you have endometriosis, now what? Well, you can try to get pregnant, because pregnancy cures it, which is total BS. Or you can go on Lupron. And if any of you know or have ever been on Lupron is very scary. And I knew right away I did not want to go on Lupron. So I told my doctor I wanted to just kind of think about it, or I could go back on birth control, which I was on birth control since I was 14. Birth control does not work for me, right? Birth control does not help endo. So I went back home, and I was just starting off my journey with holistic health. And I realized that I wanted to take what I was learning in school. So I went back to school for holistic health coaching, and I wanted to almost put my mouth where my words were. And I really wanted to own it. And I needed to see if this holistic health thing was really a thing. I wanted to be able to truly see if what I was trying to do was actually possible. So I called my doctor back, and I was like, you know what? I am going to do no options. I'm going to take myself off of all medication, and I'm going to try to heal myself from within using food and fitness and meditation and yoga and hippie things. And my doctor pretty much laughed at me, and he told me he would hear from me in a few weeks. He's like, okay, I'll talk to you soon, basically. Yeah, okay, that's not going to work. And that was 5 years ago. And I have stayed medication-free. I have been able to change my entire life because of that decision that I made. And that is why I am sharing these 5 tips with you guys today, because these are the 5 things that I have done over the past 5 years in order to get myself to where I am today, where I'm living a happy life with my endometriosis. I do feel like I'm healed. I mean, there is no cure, we know that, but I can live. I can live, and I can smile every day, and I can get up, and I can get through a period without wanting to kill myself. And I can participate in activities, and I can work hard, and I can exercise every single day, and I can live my best life with endo instead of being on tons of medications, instead of curled up in a tiny little ball crying all of the time, just with a heating pad for any type of relief. And I really hope that you take this and use these 5 tips, because it took me 5 years to find this happiness. And if you can start today by doing a few things, you'll be one step further ahead than me 5 years ago. And that's what I hope you get out of this. I hope that there's something that you can take away, and that's why I created that workbook. So I hope you guys have it handy, even if you have it next to you or up on your phone or whatever, and you're just writing down in your journal. But have something with you, and use that workbook to note things down. So that way you can take what you learned today with me, and you can actually start applying it today. So that way you can actually have a better tomorrow. And that way in your, journey, however long it takes you, hopefully it won't take you 5 years, but however long it takes, then at least you can actually start, and you can actually start today by doing these things. So if you have your workbook, awesome. I hope you do. It's very easy. It's very simple to follow along, but definitely have a pen and a paper, because we all know that endo brain fog is totally real, and there's no way that I could ever remember things that I learn on webinars. So whenever I'm a participant, I always make sure I have a journal, something to write with. And then just let yourself, give yourself this opportunity. Turn off your cell phone, turn the volume off, so that way you can really be present. I mean, you're here, right? You signed up. You're already in the conversations going on in the chat box. So, just make this one thing that you can do for yourself, and one thing for your endo. So we're going to actually just jump right in and get started. The cool thing is I'm going to actually share my screen with you guys. So I'm going to actually leave you, my face is going to disappear, and you are going to actually see my screen. And what I've done is I've made basically like a slideshow for you guys, so that way you can kind of follow along with me. So you'll still hear me, and we'll just kind of come back together at the end. And I have a really big surprise gift thing at the end. So try to stick with me until the very end if you can. And then just make sure, you have your notebook and you're ready, and feel free to continue using the chat box. If I say anything, then you're just like, oh, yes, write it down and have those conversations. See, Alex and Sharon, you're both from England. Isn't that cool? And Nora, you lived in England for a little bit. See, that's so cool, that there's already connections. And Melissa, I'm not too far from Connecticut. I'm in New Jersey. We actually, my cousin lives in Connecticut, and we might be going there the day after Christmas. Oh, maybe, I think. We'll see. But yeah, so it's exciting. Welcome, guys. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys. You're going to see my screen. And then any questions that you have, please feel free to ask. I will get to all of the questions after. And if there's anything that you need, please don't feel embarrassed to ask, because regardless, we've all had that question happen to us at some point or another. Or we've all kind of already been there, done that. So seriously, any questions, please ask. There's definitely no silly questions, nothing at all. Okay, let's see. So can you guys see my screen okay? I'm going to actually go like this. Okay. Well, so these are my 5 top tips for healing with your endo monster. And just kind of the beginning stages of what to do, where to go, and how you really do feel. So today we're going to cover everything from nutrition, movement, mindset, community, and the daily routines. And these are the 5 things that are the topics. These are the 5 things that have 100% totally changed my life. When I first decided to make this change with endo, the only thing that I started doing was just Googling different things that I could do to help my endo. And all I realized and all I could really find was just everything about this thing called the endo diet. And it left me feeling completely confused. Like, I honestly was just like, are you kidding me? Like, the only thing that I can do naturally to help my endo is by removing everything that I love to eat. And I absolutely was miserable. Like, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I love cheeseburgers. I love French fries. I love pizza. I love ice cream. How am I going to live my life without having these foods? So over in the chat box, I would love to hear what your thoughts and things that went through your mind when you heard about the endo diet for the very first time. I realized that I needed to know why I needed to make the changes if I was going to ever stick with them. So I needed to know why the food I was eating was making my endo worse. And I needed to know why removing some foods was going to actually help me instead of hurt me. So in your workbook, this is a great time for you to write these things down. By removing a lot of the foods that we eat, you automatically reduce a shit ton of bloat. You reduce all of the pain that comes with it. I mean, think about when you eat a piece of pizza. It's almost instant how big you get, right? You get that endo belly. Everything literally inflames up. Everything turns into like this huge thing, and literally you just blow up, right? And you also naturally will have a lot of weight loss. So you will naturally just start losing weight because you're removing a lot of these foods. So in your workbook, these are the 3 main things that you want to avoid and why. So this is really important. This is something that I really needed to understand, was the why aspect, because you can't just tell me that I'm going to lose my favorite foods, right? I mean, food is life. Food is everything. I would use food to feel better. I would use food to celebrate. Whenever we had family gatherings or I went out with a girlfriend, it was always centered around food. Now, gluten and wheat are basically the number 1 things that we want to start avoiding, because gluten and wheat will actually promote more inflammation inside of our bodies and promote more bloat. Gluten is actually so foreign to our body that gluten will remain in your system for 30 days. Isn't that so crazy? Like, gluten will stay in your system for 30 days because our body doesn't know what to do with it. It's that foreign and it's that much of a processed ingredient that our body doesn't know what to do. And our digestion is right next to where our endo is. So if we inflame one thing, everything else gets triggered. Dairy and red meat also are really big inflammation triggers for us. And I know that the dairy thing is also kind of a scary thing. It really was for me, the whole having to remove dairy, having to remove cheese was a really big thing that I struggled with at first. But then I looked into further what it does to my body and how it really affects my endo. And I didn't want to promote any more of this unnecessary growth inside of my body. And that's literally what dairy and red meat does, because of the way the cows and the pigs are raised at this point. It's so bad for us that it really does just aid in that endo belly bloat. And then soy. Soy actually promotes estrogen, which we do not need any more of. I know soy, sometimes it gets promoted as like a healthy alternative, but it's really not at all. It's the second most genetically modified crop that we have, and it's horrific. I mean, the second I touch soy, I can literally feel it right in my endo. I mean, it happens so quickly. It also is a huge component to weakening your immune system. So if you feel like you get sick a lot, if you feel like you're always getting head colds or sore throats or anything like that, it's because soy is actually damaging your immune system. And because we have endo, we really need our immune system to really stay strong so that way it can help us battle all of these flames and all of the bad shit that comes along with endo. Here's one really cool thing that I love doing with my endo sisters. Right away, whenever we talk about nutrition, I always encourage them to go into their kitchen and just start looking at things that they buy on the regular, right? So like your normal household products, the things that you normally keep in your kitchen. So after this, I really want you guys to go into your kitchen and I want you to look at something and just start reading the label, right? And then see, is it considered endo approved? And that is something that I always live by. If it's endo approved, I will eat it. If it's not endo approved, I'm not going to eat it. Because I know that if I eat those things, especially starting with just those 3, because if you've ever looked at the endo diet, there's a lot of things on that list that we can't have. But those are the 3 main ones that you can just start with. And then over in the chat box, just let me know, like, if there's something in your kitchen that you always have, is there something that you're really fearful of removing and not being able to eat? So just let me know in the chat box if there's something like that. Now, the other part about having this actually work, I realized that I needed to stop thinking about the endo diet as a diet. So I hate the word diet because whenever I think of the word diet, I feel like, ugh, it's like automatic dread, it's automatic hate. It's just this thing that now I have to do that's not going to work because I spent my life on these fad diets, you know, everything from like the cabbage soup diet to just drinking like the cayenne pepper and lemon diet. I've tried all of the different diets. And when I realized that it was no longer a diet, like the endo diet, it's not a diet. This just needs to become my life. If I want my entire life to change with my endo, this is just something that I have to do. This is just going to be something that I am now. And I just almost started thinking about it as a new allergy. So I got misdiagnosed also for Crohn's, and I realized that I could just kind of almost like take it and just almost like say it, you know, like I'm allergic to dairy. I'm allergic to soy. I can't eat these foods because they're going to make me sick, which isn't a total lie. It's actually really true. Like these foods will 100% make you sick. They will 100% put you into a new endo flare. So why not just think about it as a food allergy? And then communicating it with everybody in your life. So when I first started changing my life, I didn't realize how much food was going to impact me and in my relationships. This was probably the hardest on my relationship with my now husband, Tom, and we were just dating at the time, because it was just really hard to communicate the fact that now I can't participate in normal things. Like I cried for 20 minutes in the bathroom of a bar one night because I could not sit there and I could not eat anything at the bar because everything is fried, everything's got cheese, everything's got wheat and gluten, and it's just bad shit. And I couldn't have any beer because beer's got gluten in it. And that was my normal life. And it took me a really long time to realize that I had to communicate better with the people that meant the most to me on why I was making these changes. So instead of me getting really pissed, like I would get very angry at my mom even, because my mom is like a typical Jewish mother and she shows her love through food, and I could no longer eat her food. So she took it as a really big offense, but it wasn't until I sat down with her and explained to her why the food affects me, it was just a struggle. So communicating with who matters the most to you is going to also help you stay on track with your nutrition, because they're going to also be like your little accountability buddies. You know, they're going to also be like, can you really eat that, or should you not be eating it? My second tip is movement. Now, I know most of you guys think that movement will actually harm endo or make it worse. At least that's what I thought. I 100% believed that by moving, I would cause more pain. I would stay curled up in my bed in this tight little ball with my heating pad, just terrified to even get up to go pee because moving in general hurt me that much. I never exercised my entire life. I never even played a sport growing up. I remember trying out for the volleyball team and getting told that everybody that tries out is going to make it on the team, except I still didn't make the team because I'm just not a physical person. Like I don't have any interest in that stuff. I almost failed gym class twice because of how much I hated it. I never participated in anything. I never joined a gym. I never joined any type of fitness classes because that was just not who I was. And then I started actually moving through my changes. And after this surgery, I realized that I could heal by moving. And by moving, you actually have this increase of blood flow and oxygen. I didn't realize that I needed to get the blood out of my endo area into other parts of my body because everything was just centered around my midsection of my body. And I was curled up in this tight little ball, and I was keeping all of that blood right there, which is not a good thing. And once I started moving, then I got more energy. I was removing a lot of stress from my life. I had a very stressful job. I was working in New York City, commuting 2 hours one way. My job was very demanding, and I had exercise as my release, as my way to punch it out. I was actually sleeping better. I had so many nights of just restless sleep. I remember just always crying myself to sleep, being in so much pain. But when you actually have movement going on in your life, you actually do sleep better because you're more tired and your body actually did stuff instead of just laying there. And then I also realized that thing, endorphins, right, was a real thing. And that's why I have that hashtag, name that quote, endorphins make you happy, and happy people just don't kill their husbands. They just don't. So if you know the movie, comment it. Now, the thing is, where I needed to do, because I never worked out before, because I never participated in any sports, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. So I had to think about things that I actually would enjoy doing. I like to dance. I like fun things. I knew what I didn't like also. I knew that I loved being outside, so I started running outside and walking outside. I also knew I did not want to be in a gym because I felt like I would be judged. And I really wanted to be with my one girlfriend who was a runner. So I became really good friends with a coworker, and she was an avid runner. And I don't know, I wanted to be like her, and I wanted to experience the things that she would talk to me about on her runs. And I became friends with her because of that. And I asked her if she would start running with me. And she became my partner and my buddy, and we became so close. And because I found that person that I wanted to be with, it became another form of accountability because I would have that friend that's like, hey, are you coming to meet me after work today? Accountability is huge because you always need that outside help. So if you can start thinking about today, like, who do you know right now in your life that you can ask for help? Who do you know in your life that can, offer up some encouragement? Things like having, maybe a group to join, like a running group, or even joining a gym. I'm not trying to knock gyms. I mean, I teach fitness classes now, but, like when you join a gym, that could also be another way to stay accountable because you have those other people in the room. So start thinking about maybe just something that you can do today, even if it's literally just taking a walk down the street. I mean, I know a lot of you guys, some of you guys have been following me for a very long time, and I'm at the point now in my movement journey where I am very physically strong, but I wasn't always like this. So when I talk about movement, I don't expect or encourage anybody to jump right into a crazy hard exercise routine. I just mean moving when you don't feel like moving, and then finding some place, someone that you actually want to enjoy it with. Being out in nature is so healing and it's so beautiful, and you get fresh oxygen, and it allows you some time just with yourself to realize some things, and just being out in nature can sometimes really help. So I just want to know if there's one thing that you can try today or tomorrow, depending on where you live and what time it is. But having something that you can do today that can help you tomorrow, or at least just being like, I really want to try that class. So now maybe I will try that class. Like, what is that one thing? We always have one thing that we can do. My third tip is the mindset. Now, this one is, I think, a doozy, I guess that's the right word to say. It's probably the one that hits us at home the most, and I think the mindset might even be the toughest one. But before we get really into it, I just kind of want to start with, what is the mindset? Like, what does the mindset really mean? And I'm going to share these two quotes because I think they just kind of say it the best. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." And this is one thing that I know to be true, because through all of my movement, through all of the struggles of overcoming my nutrition battles and having to give up my favorite foods and having to work out so hard, I had to start by telling myself I could do it. And that's why I've done it, and that's how come I still am able to do it, because it's all in my mind. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. My second favorite quote is from the Buddha himself. "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." This all basically is just saying that whatever you think is going to truly happen. Your thoughts are a direct link to your life. Everything that you feel and say and want to achieve are going to actually happen. Your thoughts are so powerful. And if you really think about how crazy this is, you are the only one that ever listens to yourself. If you're anything like me, there's no way you would ever tell anybody the real things that go on in your mind when you talk about yourself, right? Like, I used to beat myself up staring in the mirror, just saying so many hurtful things. And those thoughts really took its toll on me emotionally and physically. Your thinking is it actually turns into this toxic wave that goes from your brain to your body. So if you really think about it, the things that you think transmit into the way your body performs and the way that you act. So if you're living in this constant negativity, your life is going to turn into a constant negative experience. So start by thinking about things that you tell yourself. What do you say to yourself all the time? I used to always tell myself the same things. My body hates me because of endo. Why? I deserve this. I must have done something wrong. I will never be a mom. I will never be able to get pregnant naturally. I will always struggle. Nothing is fair. I have to work so hard. Why is it always me? Those were the thoughts that I kept saying to myself. And this statistic is absolutely mind-blowing. When I read this, I cried. Your thoughts are on repeat 85% of the time. So that means in the 24 hours in your day, you are telling yourself the same negative things over and over again. 85% of your day is spent with your own thoughts. And if you're anything like me, they were all negative. I never said anything good to myself. And that is a direct link to my endo and to my endo monster. That's why I had so much about it. Like, I felt so much anger with my endo. I felt all of this frustration, and I had so many fears about my future because I was automatically told that I might not be able to get pregnant. And all of these doubts kept coming into my mind about how am I going to continue to perform at my job when all I can do is call out of work some days. And that led to so much self-hate and resentment. And I had no idea the toll that all of these things were taking on me. So I want you to think about these. What are some of the words that you feel when you think about your life right now with your endo monster? What is your relationship like? Now I want you to start to think about this. If these quotes are real, if you really are what you believe, if that's real, then what does your day look like? What does your life look like? If you're stuck in that negative life and that negative mindset, what does your day look like? What do you think about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? How are your daily pains? How do you want to feel, and how are you actually feeling? Those things are totally different. Do you really want to feel good? Do you really want to have a day where you wake up and you jump out of bed and you feel good and you can go work out and then take a shower and then make breakfast and then go to work and do your entire day's job, then come home and make dinner and spend time with your spouse or your kids or your friends, and then be able to go to sleep without any pain? Like, what would that feel like for you? What would that look like for you? All of these things have to start from within. All of these changes are you. You control all of these things. And it took me a really long time to realize that I was the one creating my misery. And the way to start is by just acknowledging these things, right? Just being like, okay, I do say I hate myself way too often. I do look at myself in the mirror with total disgust. Because those are things that I used to do all the time. I would beat myself up, and there was no reason for it. But once I was starting to able to realize that's what I was doing, it was almost like this aha. And it was almost like this weight was lifted off of me, where I was like, oh my God, like there's no reason for me to be such an asshole to myself. Like I have no reason to be my own worst enemy anymore. And then allowing yourself just to be totally judgment free. I mean, we can be our worst critics, but we also need to be our biggest cheerleader. So when those negative thoughts come in your head, instead of making yourself feel even worse, just be judgment free of them. And that's the way to start by changing the mindset, is just by acknowledging the things that you know you say way too often that you don't need to. And then being judgment free of ourselves, right? Because there's enough judgment out there in the real world. We don't need any more judgment on the inside. And then being kind to yourself. I read this quote once and it really stuck with me. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, why would you say it about yourself? There's no way that I would ever tell my best friend she was ugly, or that she was fat and that she needed to lose weight and that she was disgusting and that her stretch marks were gross and she should never show her body. Yet I was saying those things about myself every single day. You have to be kind to yourself. If you're not kind to you, then you can't truly be kind to others, and then you'll never be able to experience any of that true happiness. So being kind to yourself has to start within. My fourth tip is kind of what we started earlier, why I asked you guys to share where you're from, why I asked you guys to share some things about yourself. Because community is so extremely powerful that it can either bring you up or it can bring you down fast. I was the girl that was always sick. I was always the one that had to cancel plans. None of my girlfriends understood why I was always sick. None of my girlfriends had bad periods. I mean, my two best friends growing up could take a Midol and they would be fine. Like, Midol is a fucking joke, right? Like, what is Midol? Midol doesn't do anything. It's just a waste of space. So I always felt alone. And I eventually even got stopped being invited to places because I would never show up. Or I would have to cancel last minute because I would feel too sick to even get out of bed. At the time, my friends were, they partied a lot, they drank a lot, they had really late nights. They did a lot of things that really weren't healing to me. And that didn't really aid me. They pretty much sent me on that downward path where I was the one constantly drinking. I was the one that was drunk every single night, which led to eating a bunch of stuff at like 2 a.m. that I should not have been eating. I would literally be able to eat an entire pizza pie by myself because I was also so drunk. And that's just not a really nasty cycle to live in. And I didn't realize how much of an effect my core group of friends were having on me. I didn't realize that they were affecting me in such a bad way. And nobody that I was friends with worked out. Nobody that I was friends with had any interest in being health conscious at all. They were not about that life. And, the people that you spend the most time with, your friends, they're the ones that really should, bring out a lot of good things in you, not a lot of negative things in you. So think about who right now do you spend the most time with? For the most part, we probably spend the most time like physically with our families or spouses or coworkers, right? So like, who are those people that you actually spend the most time with? And do any of them know about endo? Do any of them understand or actually care about it? Right? So when I had my surgery 5 years ago, right before and right after, my two best friends said absolutely nothing. They didn't give, I feel like I'm going to cry. They didn't give me like good luck or let me know how it goes or I'm thinking of you. After my surgery, I texted them both and I was like, I'm out of surgery. I do have endometriosis. And I didn't hear anything back. Nothing. So think about the people that are in your life. Like, do these people actually care? Do they understand? Do they want to know? Do they want to help you with your life with endo? Do they support you in any way, or do you feel like they bring you down? Do they make you destructive? Like, my friends were not healthy for me at all. And they actually made me feel worse that now I have a word to put to my sickness. I don't know if you've ever heard this quote before, but you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that's really scary. I was surrounded by people that partied all the time and that drank every single night and ate like crap and didn't care about themselves. I had to really think about the type of person that I wanted to be when I needed to make these changes in my life. When I was making these changes, I needed to really have that conversation with myself and be like, okay, who do I want to be? Like, is there somebody that I follow on Instagram, or a famous person that I absolutely idolize because of their core values in life? Like, what does that look like to me? Who are the types of people that I want to hang out with? So if I'm the sum, if my personality becomes the sum of the 5 people that I'm with, who are those 5 people that I actually want to be? I want to be like friends with somebody that is going places in their career. I want to be friends with people that are uplifting and inspiring. I want to be with those people that care about things that they put in their mouth. And I want to be with people that work out. Like, I want a workout buddy, You can shape your life by the people who are in it. So think about those 5 people. Who are they? List out the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And then really start to think about them. Like, write down each person's name. And next to them, think about these things. Do they help you? Do they make you feel worse about yourself? Or do they actually encourage you to feel better? Are they somebody that you actually want to be like? Like, I remember when I did this for the very first time, it was really scary because, your friends become like your family. And I was friends with these girls for years. I mean, like 8, 10 years. And that's a really scary thing to have to think about losing. But I didn't want to be like that. And I knew that my future depended on my happiness from within. And I needed to be somebody different in order for me to heal my life with endo. along the way, I did lose a lot of friends. I am no longer friends with those 3 girls that never said anything to me during my surgery time 5 years ago. I was obviously changing as a person, and they did not want their friend to change. I fought a lot with my parents because they didn't understand the changes I was making, because they were almost losing their daughter, if that makes sense. But in the long run, I ended up meeting some of my absolute best friends. One of my bridesmaids I met because of endo. I met this amazing human who understands everything that I go through, because she also has endo and she cares about me in so many other different ways. Because when you meet somebody with endo, it's like you're like, oh my God, I'm not the only person. Like, I'm not crazy. And that instantly forms this bond. And because I lost those 3 people that were bringing me down and that weren't supportive and that weren't aiding my life in any way, I gained this one person who eliminated all 3 of the things that I was missing. So out of a loss of 3 really shitty friends, I was now able to get this one person who has changed my life and who I feel like we will always be friends, and that I got the honor of having her stand up next to me while I was getting married to my other best friend. And that is something absolutely insane. And I want you to really think about those things. Like, it's going to be okay if you lose some people along the way, because that's going to happen, because you are going to actually be changing as a person. And I just love this quote from Dr. Dre. Since last time you heard from me, I lost some friends. Well, hey, me and Snoop, we're dipping again. Just think about it. Think about those people. Think about who you want to be. Think about where you want to be. And think about maybe dropping some and getting some new ones. My last and final tip is all about your daily habits. It's all about the things that you are going to start doing every single day. Now, here's some nasty truth that I'm sure you're probably not going to want to hear, but I feel like I always have to start off with. This is not going to happen overnight. You will not roll over tomorrow morning and have absolute 0 pains because you watched this webinar with me. This is going to take some time, and this is going to take some work. Because if you're anything like me, you probably have spent the past 10 plus years absolutely hating yourself. Hating yourself from the core out. Hating yourself from the endo, from how you perform at work, from your relationships that you may or may not be able to have with a spouse. Things like trying to get pregnant. Things like the way you physically look. There's so much self-hate that we bring upon ourselves that come with endo, that come with the struggles of not knowing what this sickness is, that comes with always being in and out of doctors and never having any answers. And that really takes its toll on you. And it just leads to the what's wrong with me? Why do I have this stuff happening to me? Why is it all on me? And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is realizing that there's going to be a lot of hard times that we now have to undo. We have to undo all of those years of all of those thoughts, those 85% repeated thoughts. We now have to start working on undoing. And that's how these things happen, by just changing little things every single day. You will never change your life until you change something you do every single day. It's a daily habit. So moving forward, taking all 4 of these steps, those are the daily habits that you need. The daily habits come from the nutrition. The daily habits come from the movement. They come from the community and finding a good friend and losing some people. They come with the daily work of changing your mindset. How you start your day is another way to make these things a daily habit, because you control your day within the first few minutes of waking up. So think about what type of, how you start your day. Where does your mind go automatically? What are things that you do right away? I used to right away get on social media and I would scroll. And scrolling would lead to comparison. I would sit there and look at all of these amazing, beautiful, skinny women that have no problems, or women, other friends from high school getting pregnant. They've got like 18 kids, and, like it just was really bad. And I would literally set my day up for failure, because the first thing I would do when I would wake up was I would scroll on Instagram or Facebook, and I would just see and compare. A lot of what are your first thoughts when you wake up? How do you feel when you wake up? Do you instantly wake up feeling dread? Do you instantly wake up feeling like, oh, my life sucks, like I can't get through today? Like, what are those first thoughts that you think when you wake up? And I want you to actually write these things down, like put these into words and really think about these things, because you can dictate your day based on these daily habits that you first do in the morning. Oh, I love this quote by Louise Hay. How you start your day is how you live your day. Think about it. So if you can do this really only takes about 10 to 15 minutes every morning. This is how you start. This is how you create these daily habits. So maybe you do it tomorrow, because tomorrow is a Monday, and Mondays are a great way to start fresh. So maybe you could wake up 10 minutes earlier. Like, find 10 minutes in your day and commit to something like this. So don't have any social media. So right when you wake up, eliminate all social media. Don't check Facebook when you wake up. Don't check your emails. Don't go on Instagram. Do something that's going to actually help you feel better instead of feeling shitty. If you guys follow me, especially on Snapchat, I always share my morning routine, and I've really nailed down my morning routine. And if I don't do my morning routine, my entire day is thrown off. So in that 10 to 30 minutes in the morning, you can do something that's truly healing. So do something like journaling, or read a personal development book, like something that makes you feel good. Meditate. Practicing yoga is an amazing way to feel like you're back in with your own body, and how to start your day off on a more positive, happy note. After all of these, the 4 other tips, you know that the power starts from within. If it's in the mind, it's going to translate into your life. And this is how to actually make that work. Acknowledging that you have the choice of how you want to live every single day. So you can literally wake up one morning and say, I'm going to have a great day, and I'm not going to let anything bother me. I'm going to live in my happy little bubble and tell everyone to go fuck off. And that choice is powerful. You can truly live in that little bubble if you believe it, and if you can stay strong enough within your own body, in your own mind, to stay in that bubble. You are the only one that's living inside of your mind and body. It's 100% up to you how you want to feel. So own that, right? The second I started owning it, being like, you know what, I'm not going to let my nasty coworker make me feel like crap, that sends me into the bathroom crying for 3 hours, hating my life. Like, I'm not going to let somebody else dictate how I feel. I know I can do a good job, and I know I am doing a good job. She's just miserable and taking it out on me. So living in that moment, living in this thing that you know that you control your happiness, and it's not from the outside, and you can create it on your own. That is how you heal from within. That is how we are able to now live with endo. That's how we can take this back, take everything back, and really live in this happiness that we all know we truly want, that we know we deserve, and that we know is so close to us. And I know you know it, because that's why you signed up today to get on this webinar, because you know that you can heal, because all of those other doctors, all of those other treatments, all of that other stuff is not working. And there's a reason for it. It's because the mind isn't linked up. It's because the daily actions are also not linked up that encourage a healing. And that healing starts from within. That healing starts from the nutrition, what you put in your mouth. That healing starts with how you physically move and take care of your body. It starts in the mind and it translates into everything. It's the people that you surround yourself, and it's the things that you do every single day. And that's how you heal with endo. Starting small is always the best way to go. Pick a few of these habits. You don't need to start with all 5 of them right away if all 5 of these things seem really overwhelming. Start small. Say, okay, you know what? With my nutrition, I'm going to just have, 2 days a week where I'm not going to eat any dairy. I am going to start walking on my lunch break 3 days a week. I am going to have a conversation with one of those friends that makes me feel really bad. Or I'm going to talk to my spouse about the changes that I really want to start taking that aren't very traditional. I'm going to pick up meditation. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to go on YouTube and find beginner's guide for meditation. And I'm going to start meditating for 2 minutes every single morning. Start small. At least you can do one thing. One thing. And then think about that. What is that one thing that you can do today that will encourage you to live a better tomorrow? What is it? What's one thing that you know you can do? Right? Now here comes the now what part, right? The now what do I do with all of this knowledge? How do I actually make this into a true life? What are these things that I need? How can I truly take all of these things that Mare just said, and how do I make them a part of my life? What do I need? How can I really make this happen? Here's the thing. When I first started my journey, I wished and I prayed that there was some person out there, some course, something that I could actually use to better my life, that I was actually like a step-by-step guide on how to heal, or someone that could hold my hand and be like, okay, this is where you need to start, and then do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then you'll get here. Somebody to show me how to get to my end goal. I needed a path, and I didn't have anything like that. I just wanted and needed a guide to help me. And that's why I think it took me 5 years to get to where I'm at, because I had to do it all on my own, and I had to fail a bunch of times, and I had to keep getting myself up every single morning to try and try again. But that's not what you guys have to do. You don't have to go through all of that anymore. You don't have to do all of that on your own, because I've created the LWE tribe. The LWE tribe is Life with Endo Monster, and it is literally an online community. It is everything that you absolutely need. It is community and the resources and the education and the tools, and it's literally me hand-holding you and taking you step by step through all of these major transitions in your life. Because when you change how you eat, you don't just change the food on your plate. Your relationships change. How you cook changes. Where you go changes. The people in your life even change, because like I had my core group of friends met at bars. My core group of friends was all about drinking and partying and eating, and I could no longer do that. So this is so much bigger than just removing dairy, or just starting to exercise, or just starting to meditate. It's an online course, so it doesn't matter where you live. Anybody can take it, and you can go at your own pace. It is basically an entire tribe group of women that only have endometriosis, that are ready to take that next step into living a happier life with endo. Because if you're like me, I have endo also on my bladder. So even if I get a full-blown hysterectomy, I will always have endometriosis. And this is exactly what I feel like I needed. I needed to be surrounded by all of these women that also had this same disease and had these core beliefs. And I knew I could no longer go into doctors' offices and be told, well, let's see if this works anymore. I needed something more, and I needed to be with those people that encouraged me to keep living this happy life that I was after. So a little bit more about the LWE tribe. Now, it is all online, and it's really cool because you get to access this website. You get your own password, everything like that, and it's a go at your own pace type of study. So it's literally like going back to school, which is amazing. I mean, I think it's amazing because you really need to learn about these things that you're doing. Just like I said in the nutrition part, in that first step, the why is really important. And because you can go at your own pace, because there's no like due dates or anything like that, you can take those days off when you're really having a bad day. You can come back and you can revisit anything because you'll have lifetime access to the LWE tribe. Each module, so a module is basically like a class or a lesson, and it is step-by-step guides on how to make these transitions in your life. It is just going to be the step-by-steps that I wish I had when I first started. And it's going to take you through all of those major transitions that happen. During the nutrition phase, we talk a lot about communication, how to avoid all of those fights that come along with it, with family, with friends, with coworkers, with people that don't understand. And then with the movement, we talk about everything with like how to actually find something that works for you, how to get through the really bad days and still be able to move. And then we talk about all of the mindset stuff that comes along with it, all of the mind fucks that we have, and the thoughts that we play against ourselves, and all of the battles that we live, and how to overcome all of them and improve the overall quality of your life so you can be happy with endo. There are 2 different levels within the LWE tribe. I recommend doing both, but of course it's 100% up to you. And it depends on where you are in your own journey. Some endo girls find me when they're ready for that next step, when they've already made the changes, right? So I have a lot of girls in my current LWE tribe that have given up dairy, that have given up wheat, that do exercise, but they need that next step. They need that extra encouragement. They're ready for more and they're open. And then I have a ton of girls that are in the LWE tribe that are beginners, that have not made a single change, that have no idea how much of an impact nutrition has and the mindset that comes along with everything. So here are 2 of the girls that are currently in my LWE tribe. So right now in the LWE tribe that I have going on, we have 28 women in there. It's absolutely insane. It's beautiful, and it's so amazing to be with all of these people. We've got girls literally all over the world, from all over the US to Canada, to England, the UK, even Australia and Germany. So it's literally a world of endo sisters that come together and that have already gone through 6 months. So all of these girls are already in 6 months of it. If you do decide to go through both bundles, if you go through level 1 and level 2, it's meant to take you a year. And that is because, like I said earlier, we've hated ourselves for a very long time, and it usually takes about 10 years to finally get diagnosed with endo. And 10 years is a really long time of feeling down and feeling confused, and that's why the course is meant to take you a full year to go through, because we have a lot of work to undo. And like I said in the very beginning, I had a very big thank you for staying on with me live and for just getting on here and kind of celebrating my 5-year with me. Because you guys, it's really surreal to be presenting something like this when 5 years ago this didn't exist, and this was literally just something that I dreamt of. that I needed, and now I'm the one that's actually creating it. And it just really means a lot that this is actually happening. So I want to give you guys a thank you. I'm sorry, I'm crying. A thank you just for being on and staying on with me. That I'm actually offering $100 off of the course. So my course is normally, for the bundle package, I charge $597 for it, but I'm actually giving a lot more off and making it $397 today. And each level on its own would be $297. But the level 1 and 2 is pretty much the biggest bundle and the best savings that you could really get. And it is meant to take you a full year to go through. It's 6 months for each level, depending on where you are in your life, level 1 or level 2. And that's pretty much everything. It considers everything that you're going to need if you really do want to make these changes. So think about it. I'm going to share the links with you guys over in the chat box, and I'm going to also send it in an email. And I'm going to come back to you and stop sharing so we can see each other again. And that way we can kind of look and talk a little bit more. But that is everything that has changed my life. And this course is designed to help you get all of those things back in your life. The LWE tribe I know is working because the women that are in it now are changing their lives, and their lives have drastically changed. And my life has drastically changed. And if you're still on with me, there's a reason for it, right? Because I know that there's this thing deep down inside of all of us where we just reach this point when it comes to endo when we're just tired. Like, we're just sick and tired of being sick and tired all the time. And there's really not a lot of options for us out there. Doctors don't really know how to help. Spouses don't really know how to help. A lot of people just don't know what to say anymore, and you just reach this rock bottom part of your life. And the only way out of it is picking yourself back up and making that change for you, and knowing that you deserve more, knowing that you deserve this happiness. And that's what I want for you, because I know it's true, and I'm now not only saying it for myself, I'm seeing it for my other endo sisters, and their lives are changing. And it's because of all of these things that I can teach you, because I've done them all. And if you feel like this is your only option, if you feel like you're just done and you need something like this, I really hope that you take me up on this offer and that you look at these different options and you decide to join the LWE tribe, because they're so healing and they're so true, and they can change your life if you decide to make those changes yourself. And that's how it starts, is from within. And all these 5 tips that I've shared with you, we go into, and the second you join, you're automatically entered into this group of community of women. We have chats like this once a month. We have live calls all of the time, where you get that community, where you're surrounded by other endo sisters, and being with other endo sisters and sharing experiences and hearing from each other. That is where a lot of the healing comes from. So that entire 4th tip you automatically get, and then you learn the other things along the way through the tribe and through the course. I know you know that you deserve to live a happy life, and I know you know that the struggles are just, you don't need them anymore, and you can find that happiness and you can live again. You just got to start somewhere. So I've posted the links over here in the chat box. I will share them again in the in an email. So you'll get an email from me. Take your time. Let me know if you decide anything, if you are like, I definitely need this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, because like I said, there's no silly questions. This is not my first launch with the course. This course already exists. So with over those 28 women that have already joined, we've dealt with a lot of things, and we've come to find ways to make this actually work. So please just ask me anything that you need, any questions that you have about it. If you click on those links, you will see a lot more, and you'll read a lot more about the course itself. And I just want to say thank you. And I know that, the finances is a really big thing that comes with endo. And that's why I want to give you guys that $100 off as a way to start this. So that way you can make your changes just like I did. And hopefully it won't take you 5 years to get to this happy part. Hopefully you can get there in just one. And that's my goal. And that's my goal with my girls right now. And they're only 6 months in, and I know the next 6 months are going to be that healing for them. And I know I could already see the changes in them from that first day that we talked to where they are now. And I dedicate myself and my life, my career to making this happen, so that way no other endo sister has to go through this alone. So that way no other girl has to deal with all of this by herself, feeling like a complete outsider. Because it's really hard to go through it alone. And you don't have to. So take me up on this offer and just check out the link. I hope the workbook was really great for you. I hope you got a lot out of it. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to look through the chat box now and see a lot of your questions. And if you need anything, if you want to talk to me privately, please send me an email back. So that way we can chat about how to make this happen for you, okay? Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for celebrating my 5 years with me. I really appreciate you guys taking out your time and hanging out with me. So cheers to 5 years of endo, right? My life was definitely a lot different 5 years ago. And I thank you guys so much. And please let me know if there's anything else that I can do.